All right, I am Carrie Nichols, and today I'm going to be talking to you about storytelling, bringing it back to kindergarten, I guess. I also work at POMIET as an HFE, and as an introduction to the story, I actually found storytelling in use for social media, and it kind of sparked an idea of something that we can use as UXers, because we kind of already use little bits and pieces of storytelling, like personas and user scenarios, and we can just mold them together and create a more useful tool. All right. Storytelling is pretty much everywhere, even without us directly noticing it. I don't know about you, but when I talk to people, I don't really, I don't use facts and logic. I don't say like, West Virginia is made up of 55 counties and 1.8 million people. I say things like, West Virginia is my favorite place to go because of all the stories that are associated with it. So this is a picture of Glenville, West Virginia. It doesn't look like much, but to me it means a lot because it's where my grandma grew up, and I knew all of the stories about how she lived there. So using facts and logic is really counter to what humans crave in order to connect with a person or a product. So to gain connection with a product, we really need to be telling a story that elicits feelings or emotions. And people in sales and marketing have been using this for ages. I mean, this is a super old ad, and you can see that it pretty directly states, and it tells a story about like this lady who has a run in her stocking, and it's turning her man off so quickly that he is going to leave her and go find another wife. Maybe not that harsh, but you get the point. But then it also leaps quickly into into a story of how they have solved this problem by creating tights that are 5 times less likely to get runs in them, creating a solution to this awful problem. So we can use this in UX, not necessarily to this extent. And then kind of furthering it, we're actually gonna watch a short film. Google actually put out an ad during Super Bowl a couple years back. I think it was 2010, I want to say. And instead of using like statistics and stuff to tell how great they were, they didn't state how quickly they ran. They didn't state how many users used it every second, which, by the way, is 40,000 searches every second, which is absolutely crazy in my opinion. Instead, they told a story through different Google searches. So let's see if I can get this running.
Did we turn the audio on?
Yeah, it's on.
Okay.
Here we go. So simply put, humans are wired to recall stories. I mean, that was 10 years ago, and how many of you, or 5 years ago, and how many of you remember that commercial? Yeah, it was memorable because it was emotional and it told a story. However, over the past 10 years, our attention spans have decreased from 12 whole minutes to 5 minutes, which is pretty rough. And I mean, that was in 2011. It's probably decreased since then.
Worse.
It's way worse now.
Are these talks too long for you guys?
10 minutes
5
might be
minutes.
too much. So the point is, you need to tell a story, but you also need to get to the point really quickly and hook them to keep them going. So the good news to the story is that in a study that somebody did a while ago, people were interrupted in this research study on brain teasers and told that they didn't have to continue the study, and 90% of them continued on anyway, even though they didn't have to. So as long as you hook your users really quickly, they'll continue on if they're interested in it and involved. So what does this mean for UX? Like I said earlier, we have little bits and pieces that we use, like personas and user stories, and I'm sure there are others that you can think of that I haven't listed. But we can mold those together into a more emotionally involved sort of thing, like user stories. So we need to embrace our creative side a little bit and write these stories as it's a nice little cupcake. And here's your cheesy example for the day. Thank you. So these, it's important to not disregard the numbers, because numbers are really important in what we do still. But you can think of the numbers and facts as like the sprinkles on top of a cupcake. They're really interesting. They're really good to have on top of the cupcake. But what keeps people coming back is the really good chocolatey goodness on the inside of that story. So further, when you build your tool, you need to make sure that the users feel a connection with it, like I said, and feel a connection with it really quickly. Like the study earlier, more people are likely to stick around if they feel that connection. So it'll be like a build your own adventure book. Question time, show of hands. How many of you had a MySpace at one time? All right, how many of you have a MySpace now? All right, how many of you have a Facebook? Show of hands. How many of you intend to get rid of Facebook anytime soon? All right, so why has Facebook shown this longevity over MySpace? It's because it really, it involves stories of all of your friends. So even though it doesn't necessarily feel like it's asking you to tell a story, it's keeping you involved because you want to read further about your own story and about other people's stories. So it has survived the test of time because of this. So what can we learn from this? Historically, people have loved and kept around stories that do one of the following. They inspire them, challenge them, educate them, or get them emotionally charged. So we should embrace this as well in our field. Go out and tell a story. Thank you.